Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art of Online Marketing live show. I'm super excited to be back after a little bit of a hiatus. And so today we're fittingly going to talk about how to get out of a content creation slump. So for those of you who don't know me or might have forgotten who I am because it's been a few weeks, I'm Denise Allison, and I help entrepreneurs grow with social media content. All right, so the reason why I haven't been here for a few weeks, there's a few of them, and I'm going to share a couple of them with you right now. So the first reason why I first got away from doing a live video is I was actually doing a LinkedIn challenge, and that was 10 tips, 10 days. And I get a lot more interaction and engagement over on LinkedIn when I create videos over there. So I want to go all in with creating those LinkedIn videos, doing that challenge and doing them right and not feeling spread too thin. So I took a little bit of a break from doing the live video then because I had other video content that was being created and going out there. So I didn't really see the need to be creating that content at that point. And the second reason is I had a big month of October. So I traveled to Toronto where I was part of two pretty cool events. One of them was a panel and that was called Master Your Digital Reputation. And so that was where we shared all kinds of social media tips and strategies. And I had some awesome co-panelists with me. So I had Chantel Sumis, Julian Smith, Shelly Esslinger, and Tim Allison. So that was a great event. It was a lot of fun. And if you were there, thank you so much for coming. I so enjoyed meeting everyone there. And it's always great to be able to meet some of your connections in real life. The second event was the Women of Inspiration Awards. And so I went to that gala and I actually ended up winning the Rural Leader Award. So that was really exciting. But like I said, traveling is not really conducive to creating live videos. So I didn't get any done that week. And then I got married, so it's been a busy time. October was super busy, so I had intended on taking a little bit of time off from creating videos, but I ended up taking a little bit longer off than I had originally intended, and it's been a long break, and I've been having trouble getting back into it, getting back into the habit of creating a live show on a weekly basis. And in my post-married honeymoon happy state, I've been having a lot of trouble coming up with content ideas. So what I want to talk about today is how to break out of that slump and start creating content again. So number one is to plan for it. Now, this isn't going to do you a whole lot of good if you're already in a slump. It's more of a preventative measure. But for me, whenever I plan on taking a break from my live videos, which is the main way that I create content, whenever I plan on taking a break from that, I always have a plan to come back. So normally the times that I'll take a break from it is if it's Christmas time. I don't do them around then because I figure no one's really watching and I want to take time for myself to be able to relax and enjoy the holidays. So I always take a break around then. If I'm traveling for work or for a vacation, it's really hard to do a live video on the go. So I generally take time off of that. But generally, when I know that I'm going to be taking time off, I have a plan for when I'm going to come back. And so that makes it easier. I didn't really have a plan for when I was going to come back to my live video. And I usually have a plan for what the general content and themes for when I come back are going to be. So this time I just kind of stopped doing the video and had no plan. So if you are thinking of taking some time off from content creation, which by the way is totally fine and we all need a break sometime, but you want to have a plan for when you're going to restart that, and then it's going to kind of force you to do that. And you want to know what you're going to be talking about because like I said, in my brain right now, there's so much going on, and I find after a break, it's hard to turn that part of your brain back on. So you do want to pre-plan for your future self to know what you're going to talk about in your content once you return. So learn from my mistake and have a plan for when you come back. And like I said, of course, this tip isn't going to work for you if you're already in a slump, but it will help you prevent getting into a content creation slump. So that is number one, plan for it. Number two is to just jump back in. I believe that the best way to get over anything is just to force yourself to do it, because that little sucker in your brain is probably going to be like, oh no, you can't do it. I know that mine is, but I've created hundreds of live shows over the past few years, so that's clearly not true. So I know that I can get back into creating a live video. It's just a matter of doing it, forcing myself to doing it, and really getting into it. So the way that I force myself to do it is a little bit of external pressure. So I announced on LinkedIn last week that I'd be restarting my live videos this week. And then I also scheduled the Facebook Live, which, side note, is a great way to force yourself to do lives if you know that you're not really going to feel like it. I know that many times I've not always felt like doing the Facebook Live, but the fact that I scheduled it meant that I had to, because I had already told people I was going to do it. So that's a great way to really put it out there and to make yourself jump back into it, because you've already shared publicly that you're going to be doing that. So now you need to follow through with that. So just jumping it back into it. So pick something that you can talk about that feels doable to get you started and to get you back in the habit. It might be about your slump, like this video is. It might be something that you learned during your time off. It might just be sharing what you did during that time off, or it might be sharing what's coming up in your business in the next little while. It's just really important to get restarted, to get back into the routine, and that's going to help your brain access the parts that create all the great content ideas. So once you get back into the routine of creating your content consistently and getting back into that habit, those ideas and that floodgate is going to open up, and those ideas are going to start coming back to you. All right, so that was number two, jump back into it. And number three is to get over it and to just forgive yourself. I let myself feel sorry about dropping the ball on content creation. So yes, I put tons of effort over the last few years and preach consistency, and now it feels like that's all gone into the toilet, says that part of my brain that's, the negative part. But it's okay, because we all mess up sometime, but the bigger mistake would be just to say, oh, I messed up and I can never do it again and it's ruined and it's not worth getting back to it. So of course it's worth getting back to it. I'm not going to never create content again just because I've taken a few weeks off. That would just be silly and ridiculous. So it's important to know that even though you mess up, it doesn't mean that it's all over. You don't need to throw everything away and say you're no good and that it's not worth doing again. You just need to get back into it. So how many people before I started this video actually noticed that I had taken a break a little bit longer than usual? Probably not so many. And it's not because people don't care. It's just because, well, they have their own things going on, and probably apart from a select few people aren't necessarily seeking out my content every single week. So it's okay. It's just important to get back into it. So to get over that, to start creating content, and to continue to build on what you've already created. Because if you're creating content consistently, you've already gotten this far. So don't let a little speed bump stop you from moving on your journey, and continue to create content and continue to position yourself as the expert that you are. So number three is get over it and forgive yourself and get back into creating content. So those are my three tips for you for getting out of a slump. So number one, of course, is the preventative measure of planning for time off of creating content if you're going to do that. Number two was to just jump back into it, force yourself to do it, and reactivate that habit and that part of your brain that lets you create that amazing content that I know that you're creating. And number three is to just get over it, forgive yourself, and get back on the train or the wagon or whatever the or whatever that saying is. Just get back to it, get back to creating content, and it'll be like you never left eventually. So don't throw everything out just because you've messed up a little bit, and get back to it as soon as you can, and it'll be back to normal before you realize it. All right, so those are my 3 tips for you. Today was a little bit shorter because, of course, my brain needs to get back into creating content. So I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. And so we're back to our regularly scheduled live videos on Tuesday mornings at 10 a.m. Atlantic, and our special guest interviews on Thursdays at 12 noon Atlantic. So this week is Jessica Phillips from Now Marketing Group, and she talks about relationship marketing, which is something that I love. I love the whole concept, and I actually talk about this a lot throughout a lot of my content. So I'm really excited to interview her on Thursday. So hoping you can all tune in with that. And if you have any questions for her, feel free to message me or to join them and ask them live so that she can answer them. All right, everyone. Hope you have a great day and a great week.